I now call this meeting to order. I don't see any members of the general public present, so I will waive the introductory comments and move right into the chair announcements. There is one announcement on item number 4 on our agenda for this afternoon, which is Resolution 11-2017, the issuance of utilities revenue refunding bonds. It has a proposed amendment as per legal, revising the language in Section 5 regarding reimbursement of expense fees. I, as chair, have no announcements. Anyone on LPUA? Everybody's good with that? Fine. Mr. Duyon? Nothing, sir? Okay, thank you. Then let's move right into the first item of business, and will you do so, Liz, please?
Resolution 11-2017, LPUA. A resolution of the Lafayette Public Utilities Authority giving preliminary approval to the issuance of utilities revenue refund bonds of the City of Lafayette, State of Louisiana, in a total amount not exceeding $70 million, authorizing the officials of the City of Lafayette to proceed with the preparation of the documents required for the issuance of such utility revenue refund bonds, applying to the State Bond Commission for consent and authority to issue such refunding bonds, and providing for other matters in connection therewith.
Motion, please. Motion by Ms. Hebert, second by Mr. Lewis. We do have a proposed amendment. I will need a motion for that. Motion by Ms. Hebert, second by Ms. Cook. Before we move on vote on either the amendment, of course, or the amended version, first an explanation of the intent of the initial resolution. Who would provide that? And then, Jerry, if you would, why is the amendment necessary? And would you please identify yourself? I'm sorry, just a second, Jerry. Okay, sir.
With Foley and Jerry Osborne with Foley and Udell Bond Counsel. This resolution provides for making application of the Bond Commission for the refunding of outstanding utility revenue bonds for the purpose of saving money. Your underwriter is here, and he has has materials that will explain what savings you're looking for, and the resolution further goes on to ratify the employment of our firm as bond counsel, and also the appointment of Raymond James as their underwriter for the issue. As the resolution was originally worded, and I sent it to the legal branch, and they recommended some changes in the wording. The result is the same, that we will be paid in accordance with the Attorney General's fee schedule, the same as we've been through the years, except that if the bonds are not issued, we will not be paid for any of our costs or any expenses. We just go home. We just close the file and leave. The change did not change any of the import of that. It was only a matter of attorneys trying to find the best words to put that in.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any questions for Mr. Osborne? Okay, thank you, Jerry. Lee, would you give us some brief comments on what we're trying to accomplish?
Yes, and the key word is brief. This is Lee. I'm Lee Bressler with Raymond James, and I'm underwriter on the proposed transaction. If you all wanted to look in your folder, we've prepared a very short handout that kind of walks us through the transaction. Basically, it just says market update, refunding analysis, and financing calendar. So the first page, page 2, shows where we are with interest rates, which is basically driving this transaction. As you can see, the middle line is where average rates have been since 1993. The very bottom line is where rates were right before the election, and the middle line, the red line, is where we are now. So as you can see, rates shot up right after the election, the presidential election last November, and they have since come down to being very close to those very low levels. So it's not the lowest rates ever, but it's pretty close to being the lowest rates ever on that. Page 3, if you guys are wondering how interest rates are set, this is the technical answer for that. They just turn the nozzle and crank out money, and that's how interest rates are set. Any questions on that slide?
Picture does say 1,000 words.
Yes. I think this is from the New Yorker, so hopefully there's no copyright lawyers here. Anyway, the page 4 shows the debt service, principal and interest on all the bonds of the utility system, the Public Power Authority, and the communication system. And we have it color-coded, but we just wanted to show you the big picture of where the debt service, principal and interest, is. And then the next page is just taking the debt service on Lafayette Utility System by itself. And we can explain the interrelationship, but that's really not why we're here tonight. And this just shows that there's 3 issues outstanding. One of them is getting ready to be paid off in a couple of years, and then this is what the debt service looks like. And it's the 2010 issue that we're looking to refinance. So on the next page, you can see that it's an $86 million issue that was sold back in 2010. It's become callable. It will become callable in November of 2020. The interest rates on those bonds were between 4% and 5%, which seems pretty low, but they're actually lower than that right now. And that was a new money issue. So what's happening, the chart on the right shows that there's more bonds being redeemed in the market, being paid off, than being issued. So they call that negative supply, where there's less issuance than bonds that are being paid off. So it's money chasing bonds, and that's a good market to be in. So that's why we decided to push ahead on the refunding and try to capture this and be in the market, in hopefully in August when there's a lot of this money still lying around. So we think we can be ready in 45 days. It may take a little bit longer than that, but that's what we're aiming for. The next page shows the refunding analysis, and what we're projecting as of today is present, and we go by present value savings, is about $3.2 million. And that's, if you look down at the bottom, that's about 4.8%. Typically, the city has liked at least 4% or higher. We've gone much higher than that in other cases, but once we hit 5%, then we decided let's go ahead and proceed. Market moved off a little bit. We're at 4.9 right now. But as you can see, it's very interest rate sensitive. So if interest rates go up by 25 basis points or a quarter of a point, it drops down to 2.6, and it's not very interesting to you all. If rates drop 25 basis points, then you're up to 7%, and I think that's even better. But we're hovering around that 5% level. That's what we're shooting for. If market conditions change between now and then, we will reassess. But there's not much. If we get too much lower than that, the city may decide to wait or proceed, but we're just going to watch it and see where we are. You're not committing to proceed under any circumstances until we get to the point where we're ready. Page 8 is the preliminary calendar, and as you can see, we're here to adopt the ordinance or the resolution to apply to the Bond Commission, and then we'll be creating the documents, just having a conference call with the rating agencies, because it's a refunding, going to the State Bond Commission, getting the preliminary official statement together, and then we're projecting a bond sale at the end of August 29th. As you know, that's a bad day for hurricanes, but hopefully it'll be a hurricane-free day, and we won't have to worry about that at the end of August. But somewhere in that vicinity, we're going to do a parameter sale so that we have the ability to go whenever the market is right on that. So, and then we'll come back in early September and ratify, and then we don't have this delivery date set in stone. We're going to talk to the staff and make sure everybody's good with the date, and it'll be sometime at the end of September in that time frame. So that's the preliminary schedule. Again, we'll do everything we can to get ready, and then we'll be coming back to say, okay, this is where we are. What do you all want to do? So,
Mr. Lewis?
Yes, sir. Is that something that we do every year? That's formal that we do every year, or you've been watching it? That's something that you think is a good time to do it?
Yes, we've been tracking this issue for quite a while. It's driven by the results are driven by 2 things. One is how close are we to the call date? Now we could wait till 2020, and that's the most efficient day to do this. But we don't know where rates are going to be then. So we're 2017. At the end of the year, we're now within striking distance. We have a very good bond market with very low interest rates. So the combination of the 2 creates, as I mentioned, that 5% present value savings, which is that's the highest level that the bond commission requires on any issue. On this issue, they only require 3%, but the city requires a higher level than that. So we've been tracking it. We're just now to the point where it makes sense to look into it. You know, like I said, if interest rates drop further, we may get to 6 or 7%. If they increase and we're down below 4%, then we have to have a discussion. But you know, there's a chance that we proceed. There's a chance we don't proceed. It really depends. The trend in rates is going to be higher. We just don't know when, and we don't know how long it will stay. The news last week with the European Central Bank, you know, starting to contract on their supply, and what's going on with our Fed, you know, that's the movement is up. We just don't know how long it's going to take to get there, but that's why we wanted to be ready, and then we can decide then what's the best time. There's no way to know,
Right.
you know, where rates are going to be a year from now or even a month from now.
But we're not obligated, we'll just wait and see how things go on. But you're ready to
if things
move.
turn
Right.
against us,
Sure.
right, we'll be ready.
Right.
And a lot of that information is good for 60, 90 days, and so we could come back and see where we are, later in the fall or whatever.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Anything else from the LPUA? Lee, I would like to speak with you offline. There's some conversation going on in Washington, D.C. about perhaps removing the tax-exempt municipal bonds. And in fact, we'll be in Washington next week to talk about that. And it's of great concern. And I think that we need to bring some convincing arguments to Congress as to how much that could impact local government.
Yes, both my trade association and Jerry Osborne's trade association has a lot of good information, so we need to get that in your hands so you can talk about that. But yes, that's a big concern. We're not sure which way things are going in Washington on some of these things, but that's clearly something we want to protect the ability of local governments to borrow at the lowest cost.
Well, the American Public Power Association is, of course, our spokesperson up on Capitol Hill, and they had a really alarming figure that on a 30-year bond, if you didn't have the tax exempt, the cost would be 25% higher.
That's pretty close, yes.
So we'll continue that conversation offline.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Do we have any blue cards on the amendment?
No, sir.
Then let's vote on the amendment, please.
District 3?
Yes?
District 4? District 6?
Yes.
District 7? Yes. District 8? Yes. Motion is approved.
Any blue cards on the motion as amended?
No, sir.
Then let's vote on that, please.
District 3?
Yes?
District 4? District 6?
Yes.
District 7?
Yes.
District 8?
Yes.
Motion is approved as amended.
Okay, Liz, if you would read the ordinance for final adoption.
Ordinance 5, 2017, LPUA. An ordinance of the Lafayette Public Utilities Authority providing for the abandonment of a utility easement on Track 1 of the Dugas Partnership in Condendum having a municipal address of 2433 West Congress Street.
Motion, please. Motion by Ms. Hebert, second by Ms. Cook. Any discussion from LPUA? Any blue cards? Then please call for the vote.
District 6?
Yes.
District 7?
Yes.
District 8?
Yes.
District 3? Motion is approved.
We have 3 ordinances for introduction. I will entertain a motion to adopt in globo. Motion by Ms. Hebert, second by Ms. Lewis. Liz, would you please read?
Ordinance 6, 2017, LPUA. An ordinance of the Lafayette Public Utilities Authority amending the fiscal year 16-17 operating budget of the Lafayette City Parish Consolidated Government to adjust amounts for risk management uninsured loss reimbursements to actual. Ordinance 7, 2017, LPUA. An ordinance of the Lafayette Public Utilities Authority authorizing and approving an application for funding from the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality Clean Water Revolving Loan Fund. Ordinance 8, 2017, LPUA. An ordinance of the Lafayette Public Utilities Authority authorizing the Lafayette Mayor President to accept certain property described hereinafter for the purpose of operating and maintaining the necessary sewer lift station and treatment plant facilities.
Thank you, ma'am. Do we have any public comment on these ordinances as introduced? If there are none, then would you please call for a vote in globo?
District 7?
Yes.
District 8?
Yes.
District 3?
Yes?
District 4? District 6?
Yes.
Motion is approved to intro.
Final item on the agenda is a director's update. Mr. Hubal.
All right, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to visit with you this afternoon. Several weeks ago, we were having some dialogue with members of the community concerning tree trimming, and have listened to the input from the public, visited with the administration, and some of the LPUA members presented some preferences to us. We've kind of laid out a plan. I want to announce that to you and to the public, that LUS has reviewed its tree trimming policies with regard to live oak trees, especially in light of recent public discussions. In order to continue to provide reliable service to all residential and commercial customers, LUS must perform periodic tree trimming. In the case of live oak trees, especially legacy live oaks, LUS will continue to evaluate each instance of trimming strategies with the property owner of the respective tree. In addition, LUS will explore on a case-by-case basis reducing the live oak tree trimming cycle interval to 2 years instead of the standard 4 years. Similarly, LUS is receptive to consider the opinion of a certified arborist in addition to the certified utility arborist already employed by LUS and its contractors. LUS will continue to monitor this new approach and reevaluate as needed. So we think that allows us to more surgically deal with the issues, specific issues at hand, and to be able to work with the customer, work with an arborist and a regular tree arborist and our utility arborist, and look at what options work best. If frequency changes for a particular tree work best, then we can do that. If a particular type of cut works best, then we can do that also. So we think this is all the flexibility we need to be responsive to the public, and as it goes on, we'll see how all this works out. The key thing for us is, the live oaks were where the biggest concern were, and we understand that, so that's what we want to try and key in on first. If it turns out we need to make any adjustments, we can look at that after we've begun this program.
Thank you for listening and responding to the concerns that were expressed during that town hall meeting. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Before we go on, any comments from LPUA? Mr. Robideau, do you have anything? Okay. Anything else on your director's update?
No, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Huval. All right, there being no other business before the LPUA, we are adjourned.